The Conjuring 3, or it's also known as The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Same thing. I went to see this movie tonight. This is opening day. It was a pretty decent crowd in the theater. The capacity is still limited, but I was happy to see that there were several people out to check this movie out. I was happy to see that there were several people showing up to check the movie out. Anyway, my last movie going experience before seeing this was to watch Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. Needless to say, if you guys have already seen my other review for that, or my review for that other movie, you know how I feel about that. I felt like it was a complete waste of time, and I'm so mad about that. I still am mad about the movie, but I was looking forward to The Conjuring 3, and I was not disappointed. I went in there with expectations that weren't high. Maybe I went in with expectations too high for Army of the Dead, but this is a horror film, and it's always going to have cliche type stuff. It's going to have very formulaic type stuff, jump scares, dark atmospheres, things like that. And that was certainly something that was present in this film, as it has been present in all of the Conjuring films. But even though there were those elements that were involved that were, like I said, cliche, formulaic, that sort of thing, in the case of The Conjuring 3, it worked. And yet in the case of the Army of the Dead, it did not work. I'm talking about the cliche stuff. It didn't work. And I think the difference here is that the writing was better in The Conjuring. Maybe if I rewatched it, I would pick apart different things, but on my initial viewing, I didn't really have a whole lot of complaints about it. And I felt like it was a pretty solid entry into the Conjuring series. Whew, can't talk. It's not tomorrow yet, but it's close to it. I felt like it was a solid entry in the Conjuring series. Now, I have also felt like, or this is something that I was thinking about, there's been all these different movies that have belonged to the Conjuring universe. There's the Annabelle movies. I think there's 2 or 3 of those. There's the Nun. There's the Llorona, which I guess I had forgotten that was part of the Conjuring universe, but there's that, La Llorona. And then, of course, the base, the foundation of the Conjuring universe, which is the Conjuring movies starring Vera Farmiga. You know who I'm talking about, her, and Patrick Wilson. I feel like the movies that involve them are the better ones in the Conjuring universe. So they were in the Annabelle, the latest Annabelle movie, which was it Annabelle Comes Home? Or the third Annabelle movie. I don't remember if they were in the other ones. Maybe they were, but it feels to me like they had more of a presence in the last one that had come out, I don't know, a few years ago, before the world ended practically. And I liked that Annabelle movie. There was another Annabelle movie I liked, okay, not the first one, but the second one. I liked that one. I saw The Nun in passing, and I saw La Llorona in passing, and it wasn't, I didn't like those as much. Maybe because I just didn't pay as much attention, but also maybe because they were just weaker entries. Whatever. I enjoy this series for the most part. It's not anything that wows me like crazy, but I do enjoy it. And I feel like the 2 main actors who play Ed and Lorraine, that's their names, Ed and Lorraine. Crap, can't remember their last name. But the people that they play, the characters, or the true life or real life individuals that they play, I feel like they do a pretty good job of that. I think that they have really good chemistry. They seem to work very well together. And I like the matchup of them. Now, the story for The Conjuring 3, or the basis for The Conjuring 3, was rooted in a real-life case from 1981, I believe. That was the year. It says it on here. At some point, you see like a little fake headline thing. 1981. And from what I understand, that was the first time the devil made me do it defense occurred in American criminal history. The guy was found guilty. I don't know a whole lot about the details of that, and other than he killed his landlord or something, and he was found guilty, and that he used that devil made me do it defense. Now, this story obviously it says it's based on, this true event. I take a lot of that with a grain of salt. I know that, well, I guess it depends who you talk to. If you're a believer in this type of thing or if you're not. I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. Some people feel like the Warrens, that's their name, the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine. Some people feel like the Warrens are fraudsters and other people believe in them completely. I don't know. I don't really care too much. I just focus on the movies, and I like their characters in the movies. It's just a fun ride. If I do have a complaint about this movie, just something that just popped out at me while I was watching it, it was that it felt like it was too dark. And I don't mean just, atmospheric and just dark and, how moody and everything. I knew that it was going to be something like that going in because it's a horror movie. A lot of horror movies are like that. But the brightness was it was really dim. And I don't know if this was something going on in my theater or if just the overall tone was intentionally, it felt like there was a filter over like a shade over the lens. In daylight scenes, it was okay, but in so many other scenes where there would be interior scenes, let's say, where there were lights on, it wasn't glaring, there were lights on, but it was so dimmed that it felt like it was just not a lot of light at all in the room. And so that was an issue that I had. I didn't like that there were so many scenes like that where it was just so oppressively dark. You felt like you couldn't fully see their faces or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that was just an erroneous perception I had about it. Maybe if I watched it again, I wouldn't feel that way. Maybe if I saw it on another screen, it would look completely different. I don't know. But anyway, I feel like, that shot right there, this happened earlier. Like at the very beginning, they're performing an exorcism of this little child. Basically, the synopsis is they're performing an exorcism of this kid, and this demon jumps from the kid to the older guy, not an old guy, but his sister's boyfriend, the one who killed the person, and then he went on trial for it. So that's kind of that's the lead up. That's what happens to set everything in motion. That kid right there. He's not really a kid. He's an adult. But anyway. And so in the very beginning, they're having this exorcism and they have to call a priest in. And the priest, he gets out and he's getting ready to walk into the house. And there's that shot that has to have been intentionally done as sort of like a nod to The Exorcist. Because that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw that. I thought that was kind of a cool little touch. But there were some other things. Oh, yeah. When I went into this, I knew, just very superficially what it was based on. And I expected that it was going to be more courtroom based, but it was not. There were hardly any courtroom scenes at all. There was some towards the beginning after the guy had killed his landlord, and then there was a scene, maybe one scene a third of the way through, and then there was a scene at the end. So like maybe 2 or 3 very brief scenes. So I guess because it wasn't really about the court case, it was just the court case was the inspiration for this movie. Anyway, something that I also appreciated about it is that I guess this is kind of the case with the other Conjuring movies as well. It's been a good while since I've seen them, so my memory might be a little fuzzy. But this one felt a lot like they were doing this detective work, trying to figure out what was this demon, or why was this demon doing what it was doing. And I don't want to say too much about stuff like that, because it sort of took a little bit of a different, I mean, it is about demons because that's kind of what this whole thing, you know, evil entities and demons and stuff. But there was a little bit of a different twist that was done this time with regard to the demon. So I like that. I thought that was interesting and pretty well done. There's some other stuff I was going to mention too. I forgot what it was. Well, I was thinking there was something else I was going to say. It just kind of flitted through my brain, and then it just flitted right out. I can't remember what it was. One of the things I was going to mention that I just remembered wasn't this other thing, but some of the scenes were a little disturbing with the body contortions that the possessed would go through. It was like, holy cow, that was so painful to watch that. It was really unsettling. It just, that kind of like, ugh. And I don't typically get too affected or bothered by scenes like that, but this was certainly something that kind of got to me a little bit. I mean, nothing huge, but it was like, ugh, well, that looks pretty bad. But anyway, overall, I enjoyed this film. I'm not sorry I saw it. Like I said, I do enjoy the Conjuring series, but it's not like my favorite horror series. But it doesn't matter. It's okay. Like I've mentioned before, that supernatural type or demonic type horror stories, they're not my favorite, though I will watch them if they're well done, well written. I obviously enjoy them more so than I would another entry in the in that type of genre. And that's the case with the Conjuring films. I know what I was going to say now. I remember the person who directed this. So what's the guy's name who directed the first one? I think his name is James Wan. And he's had his hands in most, if not all of the others, just kind of been sort of involved, even if he hasn't directed them all. I don't remember if he directed the second one. He did not direct this one, but he was involved because I saw a picture of the guy who directed this. His last name is Chavez. Can't remember his first name. The guy who directed this and Juan together, looking, you know, like Chavez was looking at a camera, Juan was watching him. So I know that there was involvement, that he had more direct involvement in this. And something also that I noticed was that the director who did this, he directed the Llorona entry. And those are the only two films he's directed, La Llorona and this one. This one has better official critic reviews than La Llorona does. And also this one has substantially higher audience reviews or ratings than La Llorona does. So it makes me wonder if Juan didn't have as much involvement in La Llorona as he did in this. Maybe that's why this one is better, in my opinion, than the other one. But I just thought that was pretty interesting that he did La Llorona. It wasn't that great. I don't think it did that well. And then they handed an actual Conjuring movie over to him, and it is better. I don't know if it's just because of the source material. I don't know if it's because Juan was more involved. I don't know any of that backstory stuff. It's just kind of speculation in my brain. But if you like the Conjuring series, I think you'll probably enjoy this. And I guess that's all I have to say about it. I can't think of anything else. The acting was good. I think everybody did a really good job in here. So that was just something that kind of I noticed as I was watching it as well. And now I want to go and read up more about the real life case. Oh, at the end of the movie, when the credits start, for a little bit into the credits, they do play audio from the child's exorcism. It's very creepy-fied. They play that, and they also show pictures of the real people. They show pictures of him, Arnie Johnson. I think that was it, Arnie. I think that's how they pronounce it. They show pictures of him. Obviously, they show the Warrens, and just kind of, to sort of meld together the fact with the storytelling that you had just, witnessed, and made me curious. I was already curious to check out information about the real life case, but it made me even more curious. So at some point soon, I'll probably read up a little bit more about that occurrence. It's possible that I already knew about it, maybe when I was in college taking a psychology class or some sort of legal class, because I did take at least one of those. Maybe there was mention of this. I just don't remember. So it'll be like finding out about it for the first time. Anyway, I don't have anything else, so I'm going to go ahead and draw this to a close. If you guys have seen this movie, what did you think? I believe it's also, well, I know it is available also on HBO Max if you don't want to go to the big screen. I prefer the big screen experience. This could probably be appreciated just fine on the small screen. But yeah, let me know what you think. If you've seen it, if you don't plan to see it, whatever, if you hated it, if you liked it, if you thought it was just okay. It's just felt like a more pleasant experience than Army of the Dead. So I'm glad I was able to check it out. And that's it, you guys. Nothing else. Later.